Welcome everybody to the Fantasy and Frames Dynasty 365 show. I am Stacy Perez. We are joined tonight by our Fantasy and Frames CEO, Mr. Jorge Edwards, and guest who is back in the house from his European vacation. That would be Tyler Heil up there in the corner. Guys, we are going to be reviewing week 4 and talking about all the things that happened last week. Let's do it. All right, guys, I see Albert over in the chat. Hello, Albert. Guys, if you are over there hanging out in the chat with us tonight over on YouTube, make sure to throw your questions on in for us. We're going to be talking about some potential trade candidates later, so we'd like to hear what's going on out in those fantasy streets, see how we can help. Make sure to put those comments and questions on into the chat. Jorge, I believe I recall you have a big announcement.
I think Tyler and I have something that we want to say to you or for you, actually. When we saw your tweet this morning giving the good news, which I'll let you, if you want to, talk about, it so happy for you, Stace.
So exciting.
Thank
so
you.
exciting. So happy for you. You know, for those who know, who have gone to her, Stacy _Perez 83, go check it out. She dropped the news this morning. But couldn't be more excited for you. So congratulations, Stacy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. So clear up what everybody is wondering what's going on. Oh, Nick Constantino from Go Bills in the chat. Oh my goodness. One of my favorite Nicks. So I took the NFL agent certification exam in July and I passed, thankfully. And as of October 1st, I am officially an NFL, we say contract advisor, but agent is that's what that means. So very excited. Can't quit my day job just yet. Hopefully one day in the future, I will be able to do that. But right now, still doing the lawyering every day. But going to be kind of, checking out the agent streets. I have a cousin who is an agent and I'm going to be kind of learning from him and he's going to be showing me the ropes and kind of getting me started in that business. And so just really excited to kind of, go down this new path and see where it takes me.
I'm so excited for you, Stacy. That's awesome. Congratulations. I can't believe you didn't tell me that you were doing that.
Well, I didn't tell anybody because I was like, what if I don't pass? I don't want, everybody to be like, oh, how'd you do on the exam? And then I have to tell people, oh, I didn't pass it, because it doesn't have a very high passage rate, apparently. So I was really nervous taking it. I haven't taken a test since I took the bar like 15 years ago. So trying to study and do all that while having a full-time job, was difficult to say the least. But I'm glad it's over. Glad I passed. And now moving on to the next thing.
I just want to say, if you see here, there's a bunch of mini helmets on this side of the wall and definitely some over here. And there are a whole bunch of players on these jerseys. If it ever came a thing, and you wanted to be like, hey, my friend Jorge has your jersey. Would you mind signing it and sending it back to him? I wouldn't say no. You know what I mean?
That is on my list. I will try my best to make all of that happen.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Stacy.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. And thanks to everybody on Twitter sending messages today. I just really want to thank everybody. It's been a lot just trying to, still work and keep up with the Twitter and everything today. Just because I've been so excited about the news. So if you sent me a message, I haven't gotten back to you yet on Twitter. I promise that I will. So thank you guys so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd be remiss if we didn't take a sidetrack here before we got into the Dynasty content, just to properly grill Tyler. Don't you think he's due for a grilling, Stacy?
I think so. I mean, Tyler was off gallivanting in Europe for the last 2 weeks. He goes and hangs out with our very own Bill Mustafa, and they go and have so much fun without all of us. So Tyler, I think you need to spill the beans. Tell us about your trip.
Oh, it was wonderful. Went to Rome and Assisi and Florence. and I think ate my weight in pasta and Florentine steak, and also drank my weight in in wine. So yeah, my body is happy to be back home eating salads and back in the gym. My brain and my heart are not. So it was a wonderful time. It's a beautiful country. You have to go visit. Then London was awesome as well. It's just a quick day and a half stop. I went and drank some beer in a pub and watched the U.S. get their asses handed to them in the Ryder Cup, which I just missed in Rome. We realized it too late that the Ryder Cup was going to be in Rome when we were there the week before, and we couldn't change everything.
Oh, no.
That's okay. 4 years from now, Ireland. That on my list. But yeah, it was fun seeing Bill. We went to a few bars, went to some proper British pubs, had some pints.
Tyler. I look, we're friends on the gram and on Facebook. I can see the pictures of Italy and all the nice proper things. Let's get to the improper things with Bill that we want to get to. Let's
give the people what they want.
Well, I don't want to get either of us arrested, so I can't tell you too much. But especially with the lawyer being, actually, it'd probably benefit me to have the lawyer being on here. It was a lot of yelling at people. Bill taught me some new slang terms, which I probably should repeat as well. Had a lot of talks about World War II history, and Bill has some very enlightening opinions on things like that. So,
I'm shocked.
I certainly hope to have Bill back on sometime soon. It was so much fun, and yeah, we drank a lot of tequila, drank a lot of beer, and just had a good time.
What's funny is after we went off the air on Thursday on the Mailbag show, Stacy, Bill, and I were talking, and we're trying to find a way to introduce a new segment here at Fantasy and Frames called something involving British Ebonics and fantasy football.
British slang with Bill.
Yeah, British slang with Bill. There you go. Thank you very much. So, Bill, if you're listening, we're still. That wasn't a joke. That would actually be pretty fun to do.
Yeah, but just got to throw it out there, Jorge. When we were at the bar, Bill got a message from you that says, "Reminder, you're on waiver wire this week." And Bill was like, "What? I have to do waiver wire?" I'm like, "Yeah, I put your ass on the schedule, you whiny prick."
You put him on the schedule the week that you were going to be there. That's kind of messed up, Tyler.
He'll live.
And he did. He did a fantastic job. Which, if you haven't already, head over to fantasyandframes.com and read Bill's waiver wire article.
Yeah, I can't wait for his British slang with Bill, because the one word that he taught us earlier, which I will not say on air because I didn't realize how incredibly offensive it is. So I've been sharing that all over the place without knowing that it was not. Apparently, what did he say, Jorge? That if you tell that to somebody, you're going to end up throwing hands.
Throwing hands, fired on the spot. It's bad when Bill, of all people, is like, dude, you got to be very careful about where you use that. Don't say that to just anybody. So I thought that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, I'm over here using it like it's a comma, so I've got to tone it down a little bit.
Well, it doesn't matter over here. Over here, it's just what?
No one knows what it means over here. Which, if you want to know what it is, you can DM me. I'll let you know. We're not saying that on air. We don't want to get in trouble.
No, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. All right. So, let's go ahead and dive into our Dynasty talk for the week. First off, though, I want to hear, what was the best part of week 4, Jorge? What was your favorite part of week 4?
Man, so it can't be Taylor Swift related because people are getting too pissed off about that. So I think it's going to be a recurring theme throughout the show today. My favorite part was seeing Brandon Ayuk come back and just absolutely ball out. 6 targets, 6 receptions, 148 yards. Just playing that wide receiver 1 role. Last year, he finished in half PPR scoring as a top was he wide receiver 22, 23 in fantasy point scoring,
Mhm.
and all the talk about like Debo Ayuk, and it's like, no, it's Ayuk, and he's gonna. He got the contract in the spring. Yeah, it was just seeing what the 49ers did. Christian McCaffrey, I don't have to say anything about Christian McCaffrey. The guy, you see that little hop skip he had over that guy to get into the end zone? Fantastic. But Brandon Ayuk for me was really the thing I tuned in for the most.
Nice. Yeah. Nick over in the chat says Ayuk season always. You are not wrong, sir. I also see Preston on in the chat. What is up, Preston? There you go. Tyler, were you too tired from watching like being out of town? Or were you in town for football Sunday or no?
I was on a plane the entire time. The 15 minutes of football I saw was on my layover in Dulles in the end of the end of regulation in Commanders Eagles. So that was fun. That was the extent of my football watching.
So was your favorite part of week 4 being back home and able to like sleep in your own bed?
Yeah, that was pretty nice. You never realize. See, I always have trouble. Do you miss your bed more or do you miss your shower more? And most people would say bed, but I really like taking a shower at home.
I would say, can you go wrong with both? I mean,
you can't.
You cannot.
Those showers overseas though in different countries are something. Like I got some stories, especially about my London experience, which I won't bore you with, but that showers over there are a little bit weird. So
I had some very nice showers.
Okay, well you're probably staying in nice. You as the Titanium Marriott member, probably staying in nicer places than I was over here.
This is true.
My favorite part of week 4. So I'm doing this thing where I'm checking out different sports bars around Tampa, trying to find somewhere that I like that I want to make my cheers. And this week, the place that I went to is it was the Steelers bar in downtown Tampa, and I got to watch with absolute and utter glee as the Houston Texans just absolutely took it to the Steelers. And I got to tell you, I mean, I don't have anything against the Steelers. I'm a Packer fan. I could care less, but they are a notoriously obnoxious fan base. And it was just the highlight of my Sunday watching them all get so angry every time CJ Stroud just went out there and looked like a freaking superstar. So that was the highlight of my week 4. It's a little petty, but I don't care.
They need to suffer. Screw them. I think that's the second time I said that.
They are suffering like badly. Like
good.
I think the worst news came today when Kenny Pickett's like, I think it'll be good for Sunday. There was like a collective sigh in Steeler Nation, like, no.
I don't think this is Kenny Pickett's fault. All right. I think Kenny Pickett is a perfectly reasonable quarterback. I just think Matt Canada is completely incompetent.
Very small hands, famously.
Not Darnell Washington hands, I'll tell you that much.
And don't you worry, I'll talk about Darnell Washington later. So if you came for the Darnell Washington talk, you're going to have to wait till the end. But it is coming. So no, nobody wanted to jump on that one. That's okay.
I was going.
Low-hanging fruit.
I was giggling under my breath, Stacy. Yeah. I decided not to go for it.
If you guys want to throw That's What She Said on into the chat, please go for it. So first topic. So I want to know who you guys are victory lapping this week. Who was a right pick for you? And who do you have to take an L on this week? Jorge, tell us your picks.
Look, I'll go back to, somebody that Chris Burns, who he's not here with us this week. He wrote about him in the poll, and I said his name earlier. I was glued into Brandon Ayuk, and Brandon Ayuk has just been playing lights out when given the opportunity. And I said it last night with Gator on the waiver wire show. Brandon Ayuk has been the primary read for every single quarterback the 49ers have had, all three of them, the past year and a half. This year is no different. Every game that he's been on the field with Deebo Samuel, he has been the primary read 40% of the time. Deebo Samuel, 22.5% of the time. That's crazy. That's great. Like, who the number one wide receiver is in San Francisco. And yes, Deebo Samuel has his splashy upside for rushing the ball and doing blah, blah, blah. Cool. He can have his boom weeks. But Brandon Ayuk is the more consistent wide receiver for this offense, and it's not even close. However, speaking of not even close, let's talk about not even close to fantasy relevance this week, and it's pretty darn close to be not relevant than Jordan Addison was. We saw the week before he had a down week. He wasn't targeted too far down the field, therefore his yardage was down. His Stacy, I think you even mentioned it a couple times last week. Look, he's really touchdown dependent. The yardage totals without the touchdown doesn't really add up too well. He was targeted one time, didn't catch it, 0 points. Like that, you can't get worse than that.
Yeah, that was really disappointing to have a nice big fat bagel in my lineups everywhere that I have Jordan Addison. Not great.
Nope.
Tyler, give us your picks.
So I kind of attack this from a season-long standpoint because I haven't really been here for the past few weeks to talk about weekly stuff. So I'm just going to talk about the season in general. Victory lapping, I'm going to go ahead and take a victory lap on Christian Kirk, who was one of my guys on the Fourth and Frames My Guys episode. He had a terrifying week one. I was very concerned. I thought I was going to have egg on my face. And then it seems like team said, okay, Calvin Ridley, prove to us that you're still good. And it took him 1 week to prove that he was still very good. So they started keying on him. And ever since a almost non-existent week one, Christian Kirk is the wide receiver 23 on the season. He's had 8 receptions or a touchdown every week since week one, and he's been an auto start. So the teams are keying on Calvin Ridley, and Christian Kirk is showing, frankly, why he might be deserving of that contract that was kind of the butt of jokes for a couple of years. And honorable mention is Davante Adams. The conversation at the beginning of the year was, oh, he's getting old. He's not a wide receiver 1 anymore. And at the Fantasy Football Expo, in the guest book that everyone was signing, I signed Tyler Heil, Davante Adams is quarterback proof. So wherever Bob Long has that guest book, there is documentation of my belief in Davante Adams.
I didn't know there was a guest book. Where was this guest book?
Yeah,
it was there at the DoubleTree when they were doing the check-in.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did not see that next year.
Yeah, they had like a little map where you could do the whole pin where you came from thing and guest book.
Okay.
A comment here from Doug Lewis. Hello, all here because Bob Harris from Football Diehard sent him our way. Glad to hear your ideas. Well, we have a few, and by a few, I mean a lot. And probably ideas that you didn't even think you needed to have in your head, but you will because that's how we roll here. So welcome, Jamie in the chat. Hello, everyone.
And taking the L, I'm just going to go Washington running backs. I've wanted the Antonio Gibson thing to happen for so long. I feel like Antonio Gibson is my new Duke Johnson. Where I'm just trying to force it to happen, and it's just never going to.
Oh, wow. But it's so accurate, right? It's pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Painful.
And frankly, Brad Robinson's pretty damn good. It feels like we just wanted to ignore kind of what Brian Robinson did in college, the film that he put up in college at Alabama. He stayed at Alabama for 5 years, had minimal tread on the tires. He was a contributor at Alabama with people like Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris and Damian Harris. And he's contributed every single year with all of those until he finally got his shot in his last year, and he played great. The only Alabama running back in the past 8 years who's caught more passes than him in a season is Najee Harris. So he's got pass catching chops, and he's just good. And I'm kicking myself for just ignoring kind of what he is capable of in favor of what my heart believes Antonio Gibson is capable of. And Robinson's the RB7 on the year. He's right in front of Tony Pollard. He's top 10 in broken tackles. 11th in yards per attempt, and he's tied for 4th with 8 runs of 10+ yards. So he's getting good yards every time. And Jamie.
It's crazy, Tyler. I'm looking at half PPR scoring and points per game. Guess who's the number 10 running back in points per game on the season so far?
Is there Robinson?
It is a Robinson.
Bijan.
Bijan. Guess who's 11?
The
Brian. Yeah.
The other
right there.
Crazy. Would not have expected that. What's up, Bob Harris? How you doing, sir?
It's in the chat. Jamie agreed with you, Tyler, mentioning that he doesn't want to be reminded of Duke, but thinks you are correct.
That one glorious year that Duke Johnson had for the Browns was incredible. All right. And I will hang on to that for the rest of my life.
Wasn't his quarterback Johnny Manziel that year?
What?
Wasn't his quarterback Johnny Manziel that year, if memory serves correctly?
God, I can't remember. Johnny Manziel never played a full season. Might have been Brian Hoyer. Good God.
That's depressing times. Let's go on to something.
Don't make me do that.
All right, so I am victory lapping Mr. CJ Stroud. I feel like I have become a Texans fan at this point. I guess this is just like how it happened. And all of a sudden now all I can talk about are the Texans with him and Tank Dell and Nico Collins. My goodness. So I actually had him listed as the number 1 quarterback to grab in last week's waiver wire article. I was a little worried about him against that Pittsburgh defense, but apparently I had nothing to worry about. And earlier in the week, last week, Stroud was quoted as saying they weren't going to lay down for nobody. And that's a quote, guys. And that they certainly didn't. They definitely did not. On the season, Stroud has 1,212 yards, 2 touchdowns in each of his last 3 games, 306 yards versus Pittsburgh. He was averaging 10.2 yards per the attempt. So basically like a first down every time he's throwing the ball here. The biggest deal, I think, though, is that he still has 0 interceptions on the season after a month in the NFL as a rookie. Fun fact, don't look at the show sheet. You guys, don't look at the show sheet. Doug, you might know this answer because you were listening earlier on Football Diehards, but so don't do spoilers either. So there are currently 5 quarterbacks with 0 interceptions on the season. 2 of them, we're not counting Stroud because I already told you that. So the other 4, 2 of them are starters, 2 of them are backups. Who are they?
2 of them are starters. I think is Mahomes one?
Nope.
No.
Yeah, he threw on Sunday. Please tell me it's my boy Aiden O'Connell who fumbled the ball but did not throw an interception. No?
Nope.
Oh, it's Brock Purdy hasn't thrown one.
Bingo. Brock Purdy. Who else?
Wow.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be someone that's not supposed to be a starter.
Gonna be somebody random. Josh Dobbs. So there we go. Scott. Oh, Doug knew. Spoiler alert in the chat there. So Purdy, Dobbs, Stroud, right? And then our other 2 guys who are backups coming in for injured quarterbacks who have not thrown an interception in their time under center would be Gardner Minshew, Mustache Mania, and Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. Guys, so right, it's red, it's not the other red something. Anyway, guys. All 4 of those guys also have thrown 0 interceptions in the first 4 games of the season. So it's a fun little fact. Keep that in your back pocket for your next trivia night. Now, who am I taking the L on? I don't know if any of you guys remember on the pregame show last week when I said that you should sit Garrett Wilson against Kansas City. I wish that I hadn't said that. And, sometimes we tend to overthink things. We're looking at stats, we're digging into research and everything all week. And, sometimes we get a little too cute with our takes. And so I think this was one of those times for me. I benched him in literally every league that I have him in, and it's a lot. And that was it wasn't good. It was not good for me. I could have used those 15 points that he put up in a lot of places. So moral of the story is don't be cute and do start your studs. That's why they're there. That's why you drafted them. Currently, Garrett Wilson ranked 17th overall wide receiver going into this week. He leads the team in every relevant receiving category on the Jets. I'm sure you're not surprised about that. They are playing Denver this week. Denver's defense is no bueno. Okay. Per fantasy points data.com, Denver has allowed the most points scored against them this season. Okay. So don't make that mistake again this week. You're starting Garrett Wilson. Just, go ahead and throw him in your lineup. Don't even pretend not to. So, Jamie. Sorry, Jorge.
No, I was going to say, so when you say start Garrett Wilson, like what are you thinking? Like he's a flex at this point, or is he still like somebody at your wide receiver 1 or 2 that you're confident putting in that spot?
I mean, 15 points against Kansas City, which is, pretty good. I think he can be a wide receiver 2. You could do a flex depending on who else you have. If you're a little bit, heavier at wide receiver, but I don't see why you couldn't do him in either position. Yeah.
I like him as a wide receiver too. Just talent alone.
Yeah. So Jamie looked it up, and in 2017, Whitty Johnson was Deshaun Kaiser. The year before was Cody Kessler. Those are names we haven't heard in a while. Going deep.
Cody Kessler was significantly better than Deshaun Kaiser.
That's
one of the most disgusting things I've ever said in my life.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Tyler, welcome back. I'm so glad you're back. in your nice shower now. You're gonna have to get in after the show.
Browns fan doesn't bring down the energy. Good job, Tyler. It's good.
I blame that on Jamie.
Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So next topic 2. We're going into week 5. We've had a month of football already. I can't believe that it's been a month so far. Now we're going to make some business decisions with our team. I want to talk some trades. I want to talk some people that we should be targeting and people that we should be trying to dangle out there as some trade bait. So Tyler, you're up. Give us your targets. Give us your trade bait.
Yeah, I went with the little quarterback theme here. So my target is the aforementioned Mr. Brock Purdy. He's been extremely efficient to the point where he hasn't thrown an interception this year. He's QB 11 on the season. And frankly, he's looked better than Jimmy G ever has in that offense. He's more of a gamer than Jimmy G. He can scramble a little bit more. Not a lot. Don't get me wrong. Not a lot. But he can get out of the pocket and make a little more happen. He's much more willing to throw the ball down the field than Jimmy Garoppolo ever was. And he has a hell of a collection of weapons to throw it to. And frankly, I mean, the way Kyle Shanahan is with quarterbacks, I think this is his job for the long term. Unless he tanks and just looks terrible, which he's already shown us over half a season worth of games where he's just been very, very good in that offense. I think he's going to be a back-end QB1, a high-end QB2 for years to come. And I think he can be an awesome QB2 on your Dynasty team. Like, I would love to have Brock Purdy there. And frankly, I have him as my QB3 on the team. And I've been starting Patrick Mahomes every week. And I've been looking at it like, should I do it? Don't worry, I haven't done it. But it's crossed my mind. I mean, Jimmy G, when he was rolling as the 49ers quarterback, 2021, he was QB 17 overall and in points per game. 2019, he was QB 14 overall, QB 21 in points per game. Meh, but still a solid super flex on your team. So Purdy, I strongly believe is better than Jimmy G already, and is more willing to take chances and put up more points than him. And according to DLF trade calculator, you can get Brock Purdy for a late first. Give me that all day. Mm-hmm. If I'm a competing team and I've got a question mark at my QB2 spot, I am crow hopping a late first at someone for Brock Purdy. Like, give me that all day.
Nice. So I see Andrea over in the chat. Hello, Andrea. Guys, remember, so we're going to talk some trades now. So I want to see if you've got some trade questions, got some requests that you want to run by us, throw them into the chat right now. This is your moment. Tyler, I don't know that I can agree with you that Brock Purdy looks better than Jimmy G in that offense, but he might be better.
They have a helmet on, all right, Stacy? You
Doesn't
can't
matter.
even see.
Doesn't matter. That jawline knows no bounds. Who's your trade bait?
My trade bait, I kind of did two, just because I felt weird doing the first one. My first one was Justin Fields, talented quarterback, terrible situation in Chicago. That whole franchise is just a mess right now. Matt Eberflus kind of seems Eber-flustered, huh? No? All right. I figured I'd try it.
Yeah.
It just makes him sad. It makes him sad. Justin Fields very talented, and he's just not in a good situation. And the way they're playing, they're absolutely going to have a shot at Caleb Williams or Drake May next year. I think it would be kind of silly to not take a shot at one of those super elite prospects. So Justin Fields isn't long for Chicago. So where does he end up? Does he go to the Jets if Rodgers retires? Does he go to the Titans with a poor offense? Does he go to the Commanders maybe? The Commanders are the easy fits for me if they end up trading him, because the Commanders are going to be too good. They're going to win too many games to be in position to draft one of those top quarterbacks. So that might actually be okay. But he's QB 12 on the season. He was QB 19 before his crazy week last week where they just let the Broncos win. He's still productive, so he's a good buy candidate for contender. And Purdy, Purdy's a good buy candidate for a contender and a rebuilding team. I think you can win with both of them. My second one, Russell Wilson. Has enough stink come off of Russell Wilson yet to trade him? I don't know. I don't think so. But you can make the argument for it. He's QB9 so far on the season. Like he's been performing fantasy wise. He's been a good startable QB1 all year. And if I believe in one thing in Denver, it's Sean Payton. I'm sorry. 4 games are not enough to convince me that Sean Payton is not one of the greatest offensive minds in the last 20 years of NFL football. All right. And Russell Wilson is going to benefit from that. And he's going to be a QB1 the rest of the way this season, as long as he stays on the field. I don't know what the hell is going to happen with him next year. So that is why I would treat him as bait right now and try to get a first for him, or a mid-first, or maybe more.
There you go. So Jamie has a question. Jorge, why don't you take this, because you're going to be talking about your targets and your trade bait next.
Okay. All right. So Jamie says, I traded away Jerome Ford in 3 leagues today for a 2024 second, all to the worst teams in the league. So I'm getting the 201 and 202 for Ford. Good value. Yeah. I think it's very good value, considering what has he done, since the Pittsburgh game, for that half of football. Not much, Bob. And he's had some bad matchups. Don't get me wrong, but that's pretty damn good, lads. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great value. Good job.
Why are worse teams in the league buying Jerome Ford? I don't understand it. It's because he's young?
Yeah, you would think they would want to hold on to their picks and just go full rebuild mode, but
Jamie's smarter than them.
Yeah, Jamie's benefiting for sure. I mean, you're getting your 13th and 14th picks overall. Like, that's good job, Jamie. I mean, take a lap to that league. Oh yeah, that's
well done.
Jorge, hit us. Who you got? Who are your targets?
So I recently made a trade for this player in one of my dynasty leagues, Travis Etienne. I gave up quite a bit to go get him. Now, granted, I'm first in the league and I'm kind of making my push for I'm all in for this season. So I traded away my second and my first and Roshan Johnson to get Travis Etienne. I know that's super expensive. but he's like my fourth, RB1 on my team. There's multiple flex spots on my roster, so I just wanted to stockpile on all the top talent. And let's talk about this. Going into this season, we were talking about Tank Bigsby a lot. We were really hyped on Tank Bigsby mania. He hasn't really done much. It's kind of been the ETN show here. You look at rushing attempts on the season, 69-12. You look at targets, ETN to Bigsby, 16-2. ETN is an every down running back who probably who is on one of the good offenses in the NFL, even though they haven't really quite shown it to this point this season. I think it's just a matter of time before they start clicking. And I think it's because he's getting past a matchup against the Falcons this past week, where he only had 7 points in standard and 8 and half. You could probably get a good deal for him just because everybody's going to be like, "What's going on with Jacksonville? They're not clicking." It's like, well, give me Travis Etienne, yes, especially if they're in on the Kool-Aid for Tank Bigsby. I'm excited with what he's doing. He's the RB21, I think, in half PPR scoring and points per game. And he has a lot of good matchups coming forward. So I'm all on board getting Travis Etienne. As far as my trade bait is concerned, I'm going to stick with the quarterback situation that Tyler was just talking about and go Kirk Cousins. This guy is like every year a top 12 quarterback in a super flex league. You better believe I'm commanding top picks for this guy now while I can, because I'm not so sure he's their quarterback, next year. All this talk about let's trade him. First of all, they're not going to trade Kirk Cousins to a team. That's just preposterous. But are they? They have to pay Justin Jefferson, right, a lot of money this offseason. He's commanding a lot of money, 160 million, and then some. Kirk Cousins is not going to get this beneficiary, franchise tag where he's getting paid every year $30 million a year anymore. At a certain point, they need to start thinking about who are they going to invest money into. Is it going to be the quarterback still, who hasn't gotten them over the hump, or the superstar wide receiver who's putting up, generational talent numbers? And I don't use the term generational talent often because I think it's an overused term. So yeah, I'm getting what I can top dollar though for Kirk Cousins in my Superflex leagues, without a shadow of a doubt.
Nice. Yep, Preston there says, have patience with the Jags people. Jamie says that he has 9 more leagues, so he's working on more trades. Jamie, I hope none of your league mates are listening to the show right now, because you're about to get outed on that. So hopefully it's just you. All right, so my target is going to be Ramondre Stevenson, right, from the Patriots. So I think this is probably the cheapest that you're going to be able to get him, probably all season, at least through the first 4 games. I'm not ready to call him a one-hit wonder. I think the lower production this year has a lot to do with just that offense not being that great at all. He's just a little bit of perspective here too, is that New England they've scored, as far as their rushing fantasy points, we're at 43.4 rushing fantasy points. Now, you got to think about, okay, how, in the grand scheme of things, where does that fall? Miami has scored the highest rushing fantasy points. They have 130. Okay. So it's just not great. And, going into the season, I was a little worried maybe Zeke will vulture some touchdowns from Stevenson. But he's not really producing either. So that's why it kind of tells me that this really isn't a problem with the talent at running back. It really just has more to do with the Patriots offense as a whole right now. So, you need opportunity and you need talent to be successful in fantasy football, like Matthew Berry always says. So that's why I'm going to say right now, I'm trying to target Ramondre. Go out there, get him. I think we'll probably have a little bit better season, maybe towards the end of the year and into next season. So get him on the cheap if you can. Looks like we have a question.
A very confusing question.
All right. So this is Renegades 43. Yeah, his first one. Does he take this trade, Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson, for Amari Cooper? Tyler?
If you are getting Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson, go click accept right now. Now, stop listening to the show. Go click accept right now.
Smash it immediately. Jorge, you can't disagree with that, right?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't mean like he wants to give those two up for Amari Cooper, because
Oh,
that would be smash no,
Yeah.
smash something else. Yeah, but if you're on the receiving end of that Brian Robinson, Garrett Wilson trade, which that is, what is the person giving away thinking? Oh my god, I don't get it.
playing with?
Don't keep
I feel like
Robinson.
someone sent him this offer. This doesn't make a lot of sense to me
No.
for them to get Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson.
Like you're really, if you're the person who has Amari Cooper and you're trying to get Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson, like what have the Browns done to show you that this offense is going to get better anytime soon? That Amari Cooper is a great fantasy wide receiver, great NFL wide receiver, but not better than these two assets right here, these young assets for Wilson and Robinson.
Yeah. So Renegade, I hope that was helpful. Leave right now and hit smash to accept.
Give us a little more background if you can.
Yeah. If you've got some more background on that, please throw that on into the chat. I have some questions that need some answers. My trade bait, Jonathan Taylor. He hasn't played yet this season, right? He hasn't played, so he hasn't disappointed anybody. His expectations are still pretty high. This is somebody who has scored almost 4,000 yards in his first 3 seasons, right? So he's definitely a very good running back that is out there that maybe you can help to, or maybe can help, kind of improve your team a little bit. I saw, and I mentioned this on Mr. Harris's show earlier, that the Colts ESPN reporter, Stephen Holt, went on today saying that there had been a dramatic shift in that relationship between Taylor and the Colts. And it seems like, they've kind of made up a little bit. Maybe things are kind of on the mend. So, hopefully, things are going to be okay in Indy. And I don't think you need to worry about Zach Moss being a threat to him at all. Zach Moss is kind of there to replace him, not to really compete for carries it all there. So it's going to be the Jonathan Taylor show when he comes back. So if you kind of dangle him in front of maybe a running back needy team, maybe get some draft capital for him, he might be somebody that if you've got him, you've been holding on to him, and you can afford to part ways, maybe go ahead and do that. So, oh yeah, Jamie says Brown's offense has shown us nothing. Jamie, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
You're not wrong. Tyler can't take any more Browns talk. He's gonna leave the country and go back to Europe where he doesn't have to hear it. That's what's gonna have to happen.
That sounds wonderful. I'm out of here.
So,
I can get Italian citizenship.
Really?
My great grandparents were born in Italy, so I can go and file for Italian citizenship and live anywhere I want in Europe because of the EU.
Are you going to get one of those little houses in one of those little towns that you can get for like $1? You just have to renovate it?
Maybe.
Have you heard of that? That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother show. But yeah, don't think that hasn't crossed my mind before. You have to definitely have to get the red zone out there. I don't know if it goes that far or not, but
yeah, I don't know if they have. Maybe. I would be surprised if YouTube TV wasn't being offered to European fans.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, I would hope so anyway. Not they're missing out. All right, Renegade. All right, so he gave us a little bit more context into that question. So he says he is getting Amari Cooper. He has ETN, Saquon, Devon. A-Chan. I'm going
Why?
to Brian Robinson, Kenneth Walker. He's got Nico, Garrett, Christian Watson, Ayuk, but he feels like he needs a wide receiver. So again, guys, remember, he would be giving up Brian Robinson and Garrett Wilson for Amari Cooper. Renegade, don't do this. Don't do it, man.
Don't do it.
No.
Don't press it or whatever her members is.
Stay here. Stay here and stay away from the accept button. Just say no.
You're good. You're also good.
You're good, man.
Good spot. You're a good spot.
No.
If you really feel like you need a wide receiver, I mean, I guess you can do better than Amari Cooper for Brian Robinson straight up.
But you have Nico, Garrett, Christian Watson, and Ayuk. Why you don't need a receiver? You have all the receivers.
Yeah, I mean, you never know the setup of his league. I have a lot of leagues that are 3 wide receivers and 3 flex. That's what all the Kings Classic leagues are. 14-team leagues, 3 wide receiver, 3 flex. It's brutal.
Okay, well, in that case, then but still don't do that trade.
Still don't.
Yes.
No.
No. All right, guys. So now, last but not least, we're gonna get out our crystal balls, for the show, our little Ouija boards, and we're gonna talk about who is gonna be our one player that we're highlighting to have a great week in week 5. Tyler, give us the selection.
I was excited for this one. Zay Flowers, 100%. The Steelers have been absolutely torched by opposing teams' wide receiver ones. Even Amari Cooper, who almost didn't play that game and was taking snaps off because he was injured, still put up 7 receptions for 90 yards. Some stats here. The Steelers have allowed more pass yards to opposing number 1 wide receivers than the Browns have allowed total pass yards to all of the teams they've played. They've allowed more yards to opposing number 1 wide receivers than all teams but the Jets, Steelers, Packers, Bengals, and Broncos have given up on rush yards this season. Just to one receiver on each team they've played. Like, it's absolutely brutal. They seriously miss Cam Hayward. This defense was still good when TJ Watt was injured. And Cam Hayward has been the anchor of this defense for a decade. He's insanely good, and they miss him dearly. And also, their top graded cornerback right now is Patrick Peterson, according to PFF. He is the 56th ranked coverage grade, according to PFF. Not good. What they've done is Ayuk, wide receiver 2 in week 1, 8 for 129 and 2. Amari Cooper, wide receiver 29 in week 2, 7 for 90. Devontae Adams, wide receiver 2 in week 3, 13 for 172 and 2. Nico Collins, wide receiver 3 in week 4, 7 for 168 and 2. It's absolutely insane. They're just hemorrhaging points to opposing teams' wide receiver 1. And especially with Bateman and OBJ likely not playing, Zay Flowers is going to have a field day this week.
I do not disagree with you. I'm going to talk about somebody on the other side on that Pittsburgh team here in a second, but we've got some questions real quick. So Doug has this question. He says he just traded away Kelsey for Laporta, my fave, Kamara, and Christian Watson on a redraft 10-team PPR. He's nervous about giving up his first-round pick, but 3-for-1 was just too enticing. Doug, I think you want us to validate your decision here, and I think we can do that. What about you guys? Any thoughts? Any disagreement? And a redraft, I think this is fine. I love Laporta, Kamara, and Watson. And a 10-team for I think that's fine.
I think it's fine. Kelsey, I mean, I know he hasn't been performing up to Kelsey standards so far this season. He's still recovering from that injury, but he's going to be Kelsey at some point soon. Maybe this week, maybe next week, but it's happening. Mm-hmm. So I'd hate to give him up, but that being said, Laporta is a huge part of that Detroit offense right now. You gotta hope the Saints can figure out their offensive woes. But you know what? If Kamara is going to catch 13 stinking passes for negative yards every week, then whatever. And Christian Watson is coming back and getting healthy. So those Packer wide receivers are pretty exciting. They're under the radar, but they're very exciting. Watson, Jaden Reed, and Romeo Dobbs. That's I like it.
Team. I mean, Kamara still had 20+ points this week, right? Like, I think 21.
Yeah, because he caught 13 balls for 40 yards.
He's
33 yards.
Sorry.
Yeah, it was some kind of crazy stat, right? Like it was 13 balls for the 33 yards. It was insane. I remember that was talked a lot about, like, from everything, this week, but it's still Kamara.
It's the most shameful PPR performance I've ever seen.
Hey, garbage points still count.
It's your points, man. It's your points.
This is my argument for tiered PPR scoring.
All right. So Jamie wants to know thoughts on trading away Diggs and a mid 2024 third round pick for Michael Pittman and a mid to late 2024 first round super flex. It will make his team younger for a future championship. Jorge, what do you think?
I mean, you got to like the Pittman Anthony Richardson connection that's developing in Indianapolis. I do like the idea of getting another the first round pick, in a super flex, or just in general. You know, you talk about making your team younger for a future championship. Is your team competing now? And if so, why are you trying to make your team less competitive if you're in, win now mode by getting rid of Diggs? If you're floundering in that league and if you're 0-4, 1-3, yeah, I could see the rationale for making that trade. He said his team is mid, so okay, yeah, make the trade then. I think that's the trade to make.
If you want to hear more usage of the word mid, make sure to join the Fourth and Frame show at 9:00 right after ours.
And I like that 2024 first, man. You got Drake May, you got Caleb Williams. There are going to be at least 2 more quarterbacks that go in the first round this year. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. Then you have the second best wide receiver in the class, who's also on Ohio State, Mecca Egbuka. I might have just butchered that, so I'm sorry. And there's always running backs that are going to creep up and go. So you're going to get a very good player with that pick. So Pittman's a decided step down from Diggs, but he's significantly younger and he's still pretty damn good. So I like it.
Yeah, I like it. I like the Pittman pick, especially after seeing how well, like you said, Jorge, he's connected with Anthony Richardson. If it had been last year, I don't know that I would have loved that as much. But it looks like they're back on track. So, Jorge.
Yes.
In your crystal ball. So
I normally go against picking players on Thursday Night Football just because those games always tend to be somewhat of a letdown. But tomorrow night's game, Chicago at Washington, has kind of a special meaning for Mr. Brian Robinson because it was this time last year in Chicago that the Commanders were visiting, and Brian Robinson scored his first touchdown as a professional athlete against the Chicago Bears from within the 5-yard line. I remember that very vividly. Coming back from being shot, in preseason to literally rehabbing his way back. It was a very ugly game, and that was the lone bright spot. So now here he is a full year later, facing the same Chicago Bears at home. The offense is clicking. And you throw on top of that, the Bears are allowing the second most fantasy points per game to the running back position, 30 points to running backs on average. That's crazy. Like, give me all the Brian Robinson. I'm looking forward to this performance tomorrow night.
I love it. All right, guys, it's time. I promised. I teased you guys earlier with some Darnell Washington talk, and it's finally here. You waited 53 minutes to talk about Darnell Washington. You're about to be rewarded. All right. So originally, I was going to say, my crystal ball showed me every single Dolphins offensive player that you could scrounge up to start them against. Was it the Giants this week? I think it's the Giants this week. I don't know why I keep forgetting who they're playing. I'm pretty sure it's the Giants. But anyway, it doesn't matter. They're the best offense in the league. But that's not who I'm going with. I'm going with the one, the only, Darnell Washington. Guys, Patrick Freiermuth is going to be out. He's got that hamstring issue that's going to keep him sidelined for a little bit. I'm not sure how long yet. I don't think we know exactly how long yet. But I think it's pretty much a given that he's going to be out this week. So what does that say? I mean, they're playing division rival in Baltimore, Tyler, like you said, right? Like Pittsburgh has given up a ton of points. So Pittsburgh's going to have to throw, and whether it's with Mitch or with, Kenny Pickett out there, who is going to be our monster-sized target in the end zone It's going to be Darnell Washington, right? I'm taking a leap of faith here and saying he's going to get his first NFL touchdown this week. He's going to be standing back there. So whenever Mitch or Kenny or whoever just overthrows him in the end zone, he's going to reach up there with those monster 11-inch hands and just snatch it right out of the air. And Darnell Washington, that is my pick. Jamie says my crystal ball is broken. I don't know. I don't think so. Who knows? It could be, but
the Steelers gave up 30 this week. I didn't see much scoring from them.
Hey, it's Donald's going to be back there. They didn't need him. They needed him to, work in the line a little bit more. They had Freiermuth out there. Don't worry. Now I looked at their depth chart. There's nobody else. And there's somebody else out there, nobody that we know. It's going to be Darnell. I'm telling you. I just have a good feeling about this. He's going to do it this week.
Cam Hayward's little brother, you mean?
Oh, okay. That's, whatever. Like, that's fine. Renegade said he is 1-4, so he is just stressing out every week. Don't stress out, Renegade. You are here. We are hopefully giving you good advice so that you don't stress out every week. And please don't take that trade. That will help you not stress out.
It's okay. Stay the course. You've got a good team. Saquon was injured. Devon A-Chain was injured. He's fine. Devon, what is it? A-Chain.
Even though there's an E at the end. Yeah.
They were both injured. Brian Robinson's been performing. Kenneth Walker has been performing. Nico Collins is a revelation. Mm-hmm. Garrett Wilson's going to perform. Christian Watson's been hurt. Brandon Ayuk missed a game. Like, stay the course, man. You got a good team. Don't stress out. All you have to do is make the playoffs. It's all that matters. You don't have to come in first. You don't have to come in second. You don't have to come in third. Just make the playoffs. You got a good team. Stay the course. Don't stress out.
Don't stress out. That is the key. Guys, it is Fantasy and Frames Wednesday. It continues tonight with our Fourth and Frames guys. They are going to be up next, so stay on this channel to get your most up-to-date information from those guys. And then we're going to have, Jorge, are we doing Shoot the Gap tonight at 10?
We are doing Shoot the Gap tonight at 10. That's right.
Yes. All right, guys. So we also have Mailbag Thursday. It's going to be on tomorrow, answering all your start-sit questions. Anything else that you guys have, please send those in. We will answer them on air tomorrow night, and that's going to be at 7, right before Thursday Night Football. And then don't forget, on Sunday mornings, our pregame show here at Fantasy and Frames from 9 to noon. You've got almost like all of us here at Fantasy and Frames hopping in and out throughout the show, giving advice, helping you with your start sets, your last minute questions. So make sure that you have hit subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Fantasy and Frames so you get all the notifications about our shows when we're going to be on, so you can get the most up-to-date and the latest fantasy advice. Guys, you can find all of us over on Twitter if you're not following us already. Tyler is at FF Tyler Heil. You can find Jorge at Jorge B. Edwards, and I am at Stacy_Perez83. For all of us here at Dynasty 365. Check your lineups. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.